Welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live. My name is Brandon Drum. I'm here with Parker Thune, Spencer Forsythe on the board. And my, oh my, do we have a lot to talk about. If you've been an OU Insider member, you've known about this for about,
4 hours.
3-4 hours. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, it is what it is. We reported at 4:30 today that you could probably expect Danny Stutsman to be gone to the NFL and not play in the Alamo Bowl. If you're on OU Insider, you saw it. And my did it blow up. And now it's even more blown up. We were, okay, so how we handled this was we weren't trying to put it completely out there. Let him make his own announcement on him leaving. Didn't happen. I kind of figured whenever we put it out there that he was leaning towards leaving and he probably wasn't playing in the bowl. The gist of the thing is that yesterday afternoon, I called Parker and I said, look, Danny Stutsman's leaving. Parker talked to some people that had talked directly to people in Stutsman's camp, confirmed it. I again talked to people that had talked directly to Stutsman's camp around 10 a.m. today, 11, whenever I called Parker. And then we nervously decided we were going to put it out about 4:30 because of the potential meltdown that was going to ensue. And now everybody's going to be worried about Billy Bowman. What I can tell you about Billy Bowman, guys, is that as of 7:15 tonight, he has been, according to sources, very adamant about leading next year's team. What does that mean?
That's leading with a D, not leaving with a V.
Leading next year's team, and how he can be a better leader and all those types of things. You know, NIL was brought to Danny, was brought to Billy, leading up to all of this. Stutsman feels that he can be a second-round pick. I reported that on OU Insider, and that is why it started trending very, very fast. We put that up literally after he got done with his meeting with the staff. Talked to a few people directly after that meeting and was okay that it was all right for us to hint that he was heading out the door. But outside of that, rough day in Soonerville. But the good news is Oklahoma got a commitment, Parker.
That they did.
Spencer got a commitment. Yep.
One of the top offensive tackles in the transfer portal, formerly of Michigan State. Man, Bill Bedenbaugh, for as much as people take him to task for what he is perceptibly unable to do in high school recruiting, plenty of people make a big deal about Bill Bedenbaugh's inability to land the big fish amongst high school prospects year in and year out, which isn't entirely true. He's landed the big fish on several occasions, most notably Caden Green last year. That one's turned out pretty well for Oklahoma, on the verge of another huge splash in Eddie Pierre-Louis here in the 2024 cycle. But Bill Bedenbaugh has continually demonstrated that he is able to get down to business with these portal offensive linemen and close on them quickly. And that is what happened with Spencer Brown. He still hasn't visited campus, Brandon. He committed to Oklahoma sight unseen.
Yeah, he didn't. Not supposed to be there till December 15th, according to what he and I talked about earlier. I think it was yesterday, actually. So, yeah, that's a really good kid for Oklahoma. Now you got your tackle to go opposite of Jacob Sexton. And now you've got to get the guard. Once you solidify that other guard opposite of Caden Green, you can let Everett and Bates battle it out at center. And I think you're going to have a pretty salty offensive line next year. I know for a fact that Oklahoma, at least people inside the Switzer Center, feel like they have a really solid grasp and feel of what this offensive line can be next year, and feel that they have a chance to be really good. Like they're like, I would probably say almost overly confident about it, to be honest with you. Like I was shocked when I talked to people over the last week or so about it and was like, really feel that good. So I think they're going to add, I think they went into this thinking they were only going to add maybe 2 offensive linemen, a tackle and a guard. It looks to me now like they could add 3 or 4 offensive linemen to this, build some depth, build some competitive depth, and move forward from there.
Now, Peyton Bennett dropped $20 in the super chat and asked, is Spencer Brown's weight really 295 pounds? No. People saw his recruiting profile in the story that we posted and concluded, oh, that's his weight right now. No, that was his weight coming out of high school when he signed with Michigan State as a 4-star prospect in the 2019 cycle. He's currently listed at 6'6", 315 pounds. So big-bodied guy, similar in stature to Walter Rouse. And if you're looking for a plug-and-play option to replace Rouse at right tackle, which potentially allows you to kick Jacob Sexton back to left tackle and give you 2 quality bookends, Spencer Brown is a great stopgap in that sense.
Yeah. Anyways, there's a lot of things that I think through the portal that Oklahoma fans are going to be pretty happy about, at least in my opinion. I think for the first time in Brent Venable's tenure, you don't really need a lot of necessities, right? Like you are going to get another running back potentially to be somebody that can offset and be maybe a third back or a second back behind, obviously second back behind Gavin Selchuk, right? That's your bell cow next year is Gavin Selchuk.
Certainly.
But have somebody that can compete with Javonte Barnes, Taylor Tatum, and the rest of the running back room. Tight end. You need a tight end. You got Devon Mitchell coming in as a freshman. You've got Cade McIntyre coming back. I expect another transfer out of that room. Maybe soon, or particularly after the bowl game. I'm almost positive. And then, maybe add a tight end, whether it's Jalen Conyers, whether it's Mark Redmond. I mean, there's several things you can do there. But I think tight end is a necessity. That's one. You got your offensive tackle. That was a necessity. And then after that, you need a corner. I thought you just needed 3 necessities out of the pool, like literally 3, because I thought you could fill in or find somebody that's on the roster. Like Everett's not the biggest guy, right? But if Bates beat him out at center, you could move him to guard and be probably content with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, it is worth noting that Oklahoma is still in the market for another offensive lineman.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Maybe 3 or 4 guys they take this time around now.
Yeah, ideally an inside guy is what they're looking at. You get a tackle in Spencer Brown. You have some guys inside that I think there's confidence they'll get there and be starter quality by next year. Jake Taylor, for instance, Troy Everett, if Josh Bates is ready to go at center, could start at guard. Savion Byrd is out the door. Have there been any other offensive line transfers thus far? I know we are expecting at least one more, but there is an opening for an interior lineman to come in and potentially start right off the bat for Oklahoma, just like McCade Mathieu did a couple of years back. Now, the 3 names to watch in that capacity, and OU Insider subscribers have known this for several days now, Gino Vandemark of Michigan State, Jaquan Scott, Southern Mississippi, and I'm going to take a stab at this, Fabeki Nwaiwu. I can guarantee I didn't say that correctly.
It's
Kid plays in North
Nawawu.
Texas.
It's Nawawu.
Nwaiwu. Okay, sure. There we go.
And there it is, drum with the pronunciation for the first time ever, and only because the source told me how to pronounce it.
Nwaiwu. Okay. Now,
Nawawu.
I was talking to a pretty well placed source in the matter earlier tonight and was told, hey, Beatonbow likes all three of those guys, and he'll take any of the three, whoever wants to come.
They want the A&M dude bad too, like real bad.
Well,
but so does everybody else in the world.
Exactly. That kid will have some big money thrown around for his services.
Yes,
but
correct.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because the transfer market right now across college football is largely driven by and consumed with two particular positions, that being quarterback and wide receiver. Oklahoma is in the market for neither of them. So you get to sit back and have a third person perspective on the whole portal craziness to a certain extent. Obviously, you're still looking for a guy here, a guy there, but you don't have to participate in the feeding frenzy for a quarterback or a wide receiver, which no doubt makes life easier.
Yeah, no, the quarterback situation. Now, I'll say this on the quarterback situation. Parker, we've talked about this. I think there's a world where a quarterback might show up, but it isn't one that even plans to want to start. It's not one that wants to compete for the starting job. It's more of how would I word this, Parker?
Ben Harris is coming back, baby.
No. It's a security blanket. It's a really good security blanket if this was to take place with a lot of experience. That would be the best way to put it.
I think that's fair.
But let's put it this way. No decisions even been made. I don't even know if they made a decision to hit the portal or not. It's just hearsay at this point. But nonetheless, there is a world where that takes place, and I'll leave it at that. Fair enough?
That is fair.
Pretty vague, but if it does happen,
to fruition,
we can point back to this conversation and we'll say, this is what we were talking about.
Yeah. Well, there's only so much you can say with guys who aren't officially in the portal yet.
Correct.
Peyton dropped another $20 and said, how have you been, Brandon? What do you all know about LT Overton, Rocket Sanders, Hicks, Brownlow Dindy, and what linebackers OU will target in the portal?
Okay, repeat that.
So, first off, how have you been, Brandon?
I'm good. Really busy. I'm like trying to answer all these texts and everything too at the same time. It's been kind of crazy. I had like 2 calls from a couple of sources in the middle of this live, so it's nuts right now. The portal's crazy. My phone is about dead.
LT Overton, Rocket Sanders, DJ Hicks, Gabriel Brownlow Dindy, and any linebacker targets.
Okay. Oklahoma wants to. They're trying to go after Rocket Sanders. Rocket Sanders visiting South Carolina. Obviously, that was his former OC at Arkansas. It's similar to Jefferson, who seems to be Mississippi State and or South Carolina from everything we've heard. Both run similar offenses. Oklahoma runs a similar offense. Obviously, Rocket would fit very well in that, would understand the system, would understand the verbiage. Everything would be very, I guess, chalk for him if he showed up to Oklahoma. That said, as far as LT Overton, I'm not going to say Oklahoma's not going to kick the tires there, but I would venture to guess that I don't know how hard they would press if they did. He played linebacker a little bit, outside linebacker, right? At A&M.
Yeah, he wasn't
even a defensive tackle. So like, I don't think that even fits with what Oklahoma's looking for right now. And obviously, he could come in and play edge in a 3-man front. He could be the jack, the rush back, or whatever you want to call it. But I don't. Parker, do you Are you with me that you just don't see them pushing very hard for LT Overton at this juncture? Just because of fit, like scheme fit right now. He hasn't put on the weight to be a 3 or a 0 or anything. He's still around 265, 270.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't seem like a natural hand in glove type of deal at Oklahoma, the way that their roster is configured right now. DJ Hicks, as we have mentioned, Brandon, if anything does happen there, it won't be until after the bowl game. So yes, that answers that question. Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy, what do you think there?
He's not in the portal.
And I like odds he would get in. And
I don't think so. I think he sticks. I mean, he's got it. Like, everybody needs to understand this about Gabe and his family. Like, they're diehard. His family is diehard OU fans. Like, that is first and foremost. Still to this day, diehard Oklahoma fans. That said, they are God first, and he's running a church school in that area. Gabe would have to uplift everything that he has built with his church family there and move it to Norman. And anybody that is entrenched into a church knows that's a struggle sometimes, especially as devoted as they are to the church and their calling. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to sit here and say no, but it just seems hard to say. Now, that said, if he still had, because he's always kind of wanted to be a missionary and preach and all that, like, that's been his end goal in life. He loves football, but football isn't everything to Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy. So knowing that about him and what a good kid he is, I think if he was to transfer, it would be more in the grad transfer than it would be right now, just up and leave. But after the bowl game, I think we're going to know a lot more, because there's some players that are sticking it out to play for Elijah Robinson, who is going to coach the bowl game for Texas A&M, or at least that is still the plan in place. And if they feel like afterwards they don't fit or feel like they want to leave after that, I think you're going to see some more Texas A&M guys hop on. As a matter of fact, I know for a fact you're going to. Now, who those are, I don't know for a fact on that. But I have heard that there are some people that will throw their name in the portal after the bowl game.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying DJ Hicks. I'm not saying Gabriel Brownlow-Dindy. Like, that's not who we're alluding to 100% there. So
now, as far as the linebacker conversation goes, I have to imagine OU's still probably in the very early stages of putting out feelers, identifying targets, because Danny Stutsman informed Brent Venables that he was going to leave for the NFL draft just over 24 hours ago. That conversation happened around 5:36 yesterday, to my understanding. Like, I hate that we're even having this conversation, because I think Danny deserved to come forth with that news of his own accord, which, look, that's just my philosophy. I don't begrudge anybody who doesn't share that philosophy, but never going to scoop a kid on three things: one, his commitment announcement; two, his announcement of entry into the transfer portal; and three, his announcement
of the NFL
entry into the NFL draft. Like, I think those three things are things that a guy deserves to have the space and the leeway to announce of his own accord and on his own timetable. But look, obviously the news is out there with regard to Danny Stutsman, so we can talk about it freely. Those plans have been in place, and OU was informed of those plans just a little over 24 hours ago. So we're still in the infantile stages of Oklahoma identifying who their linebacker targets are going to be in the portal, because obviously they're going to need one now, but they weren't planning on needing one until yesterday. So there you go. I mean, things change in a hurry this time of year, Brandon, and got to stay on your toes. Figure there are already a few names on the short list. Now it just becomes a matter of who does Oklahoma prioritize. Is a guy maybe like Trey Moore down at UTSA, who's more of an edge than a true linebacker, at least with what he's done to this point at UTSA. They maybe look for somebody that is pretty much identical to Stutsman as far as that off-ball role. I don't know. There's a bunch of different directions you can go. What I do know is that young crop of linebackers that Oklahoma has coming up, most specifically Lewis Carter and Samuel Masigo, those dudes are going to be good. And I'm excited to see the increased role that those two will likely take on now next season in the wake of the news that Stutzman's going to enter the draft.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's one of those deals where it's a tough blow for Oklahoma, man. I mean, he was second team All-American this year by CBS, correct? Was it second or third? I can't remember. I know Billy was first team, but it's tough. Kip Lewis will be fine there. He just needs to keep adding weight. Jaron Kanig's got to he's got to play more within himself and not play fast. He tries to play fast all the time because he is fast, super fast. But he plays so fast, he takes himself out of the plays all the time. And he's got to learn to play a step behind or have a step behind. You want to know the funny thing about that, half a step behind, is that I can vividly remember Brent Venables screaming that at me at a OU team camp when I was playing safety, half a step behind. And like, he would get up in your face, like just chew your butt out about it. Because it's fundamentally sound football. Half step behind, head across the chest plate, like head up, head across the chest plate. Like that's the way you're supposed to play when you're run fitting, when you're gaps and all that. Like shoulders parallel to the line of scrimmage, never turn sideways, because second turn sideways, you give yourself up completely. And it's just, there's so many things that Jaron does that it's just like, what are you doing? Like, you've been playing football your whole life. You are a safety in high school. I know that it's different than linebacker, but a lot of the concepts are very similar. It's just closer to the line of scrimmage. So it's a lot faster, I guess, as far as dissection in your keys that you're reading off of. But I mean, he's got to slow down. The good news is they got Kobe McKenzie, who plays really well for the most part. And then, like you said, Lewis Carter, Samuel Masigo, like they're going to get their time to shine now. Like they got their chance. Obviously, I think Masigo is cheetah quite a bit as well. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how they fill that gap as far as rotation goes for a full. They've got 2 weeks to figure it out too. That's the good thing about it. Like, it's not like it's like, okay, oh no, what do you do? They've got 2 weeks to figure that out. The issue, I think, long-term is that up until yesterday, OU thought Danny Stutsman was returning. So they went into all their meetings and everything that they've done up to this point saying they don't need to go get a linebacker. They would take an elite linebacker if he chose to come to Oklahoma to help play beside Danny Stutsman, but they're not going to play somebody to fill in for Danny Stutsman. Now they got to. You may have to take two now, potentially, just to try to figure out how you want to fill in that spot, Parker. Like that changes a lot, dude. And it changed just like the rug was swept out from underneath their feet. Dude, my phone is blowing up.
I bet it is.
Unbelievable. Like so many people. And it has nothing to do with Stutsman, just transfer portal bull crap. Calls. It's crazy. Let's talk about the running back spot. And your thoughts on a transfer running back, Parker. Like, at the end of the day, How do you feel about that whole thing?
Well, here's my feeling on it, because obviously the news is out there. It was announced that Oklahoma offered the transfer running back from Tennessee, Martin, Samuel Franklin, who rushed for 1,400 yards and 13 touchdowns at the FCS level. And, obviously that's the FCS level. But I think what everybody ought to understand is that OU is offering more guys than the guys that are announcing that they're getting OU offers. A lot of times guys won't post all the transfer portal offers that they're getting because everything is happening on such a constricted timeline in such accelerated fashion that you just frankly don't have time to go on the internet and save an image of every single school logo and tag all the coaches and these announcements. Like, everything is happening so fast and so furiously, so frenetically, that a lot of guys won't announce any offers. Some guys will announce a few of their offers. Some guys will announce all of them, but the majority of the guys in the transfer portal will not publicly announce all their offers like recruits typically do. So just because Samuel Franklin is the only running back that has announced an OU offer does not mean he is the only running back that OU is pursuing. We know that is false. That's incorrect. And if you're on OU Insider, you have a good idea of who some other guys that Oklahoma is looking around at the running back position are. But inevitably, you were going to get that. Why on earth would you take an FCS running back? Like, that was going to be out there. People were going to be saying, why are we getting players from this level at the University of Oklahoma? Is this the best we can do? And two things that ought to be understood. One, you can get legit high-end talent from the FCS ranks. How many FCS guys end up NFL draft picks every single year? I would venture to guess anywhere between 20 and 30. So not a ton, but that's close to 8-10% of the total draft pool. So there is talent there. And the guys that stand out for a reason. And the guys that stand out are more than likely capable of making the jump to Power 5 competition. And also, you're not searching for an RB1 in the portal right now. You're not searching for a guy that you're planning to hand the ball to 200 times over the course of a season. You have that guy on your roster in Gavin Sawchuk. I don't think there's any question at this point, Brandon, that a healthy Gavin Sawchuk is leading the Oklahoma backfield contingent next year. He is first in line for touches. He's probably getting the lion's share. So what you are looking for in a back from the portal is somebody that can be an adequate contributor in a change of pace role and potentially add another dimension to this offense. So I have no issue with the Sooners looking to the FCS ranks to offer a running back. It suggests to me two things. One, the running back that got that offer is really, really good because he's getting the DeMarco Murray stamp of approval. And two, they're not bringing him in with the intention of handing him the ball 200 times. Realistically, he probably gets 70, 80 carries next year.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be Gavin Sawchuk. And I'll say this, if it was somebody like Rocket that came in, I could see kind of a Joe Mixon, Samaje P. Ryan split, just because he's that elite. As a lot of people would call, as he's a GoDaddy, if you will, and a game breaker. So I don't know. You got Taylor Tatum coming in, so that's good. You have how many returners do they have next year? Like, you got Sawchuk, you got Barnes,
Caleb Hicks.
That's
then
three.
You got Taylor Tatum, Chapman McCown amongst the walk-ons, but only three returners.
You got to bring. Yeah, I mean, talk about a flip, man. That thing was a loaded running back room, and you got Xavier Robinson coming in next year as well. So, and we watched him this past weekend. That dude is legit.
He's a big boy.
He's so good. Just had a buddy come over here to help me put our new television up. He lives right next door to Xavier, and they're really tight with them, the family, and they're so ecstatic about just everything that's going to go on and being an Oklahoma Sooner. Like he loves the fact he's fulfilling that dream. And that to me is what it's all about at the end of the day, like fulfilling a dream, going out on the field, performing, and he will perform. He will be I'll bet money that he becomes one of the short yardage backs next year. Yeah, how can you not? The dude's 240 pounds and he runs like a 4.6, 4.7.
You lose your best hammer in Tawi Walker. Somebody's got to fill that void. And I think Xavier Robinson's got a more than decent shot. I mean, if there's one back on your roster that you feel like you can trust to run straight downhill for 2 yards, it's probably Xavier Robinson. All things considered, especially in a goal line scenario when you got 8, 9, 10 guys in the box.
Yeah. No, that's fair. They're I think between him and Barnes, they're not short on power, because Barnes they got power between Robinson and Barnes.
Well, and Sawchuk's a pretty powerful guy.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah, he's getting better at that. I think that's one thing when you talk to people around him, they admitted forever that he needed strength. And that was last year. This year, it was he missed a lot of fall camp. He needed condition. He's got both. He's going to be healthy going into the bowl game. It's just, I could see him having like a career day during the Alamo Bowl. But you want to know what we haven't talked about?
What's that now?
And it's because of Danny Stutsman's stuff and all the transfer portal. But we haven't done a live since Dylan Gabriel put his name in the portal. And we have totally glossed over that because all the other crap that's happened. Let's talk about him and let's get it out there. Chat, I want y'all. Does he live in Sooner lore as far as quarterbacks go? Is he a top 5, 10 quarterback of all time in Oklahoma history? And if so, why? I think he is.
Top 5? No.
Top 5 to 10. Maybe. 5 to 10. Between 5 and 10.
Okay.
Between 5 and 10.
I don't think it's surefire.
Really?
He's got a case. Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, let's just rattle them off here. Baker, Kyler, Jalen Hurts, Jason White, Sam Bradford, all rank higher. I would say Josh Heupel ranks higher, if only by virtue of his national championship.
Claude Arnold's got to be up there because that dude never lost.
I mean, you have Jack Mildren. That's a blast from the past. You have Jamel Holloway. So, yeah, again, you start getting that in that 5 to 10 range, and there's some legitimate debate to be had. I think Gabriel has a case. I don't think it's surefire that he's top 10, but he's up there. No question about it.
Jimmy Harris has got to be up there because obviously he was part of that streak back in the 50s. You're going to have Jack Mildren, as you said. Did you say Jack Mildren? You probably didn't.
I did say Jack Mildren.
Did you? Okay. Thomas Lott. J.C. Watts. Mark Bradley, or is it Mark? Was it Mark? Old timers Bradley, quarterback.
Danny Bradley.
Danny Bradley. Yeah, Danny Bradley. Man, I still think he's top 10. I still think he's top 10, man, for what he did. Oklahoma had nothing. You could have been sitting there with Davis Bevel as your starter the whole season, and or I don't know who else could have started last year, but he came in 6 and 7. Obviously should have been better. The defense kind of let him down last year. The offense did what they needed to do to win most of those games. Could have been 11 and 2 years in a row. And this year, I think the Texas game, I think the fact that he had such a phenomenal statistical year, won 10 ball games, obviously was competing for a conference title. And again, he came at a time when he was needed. The program needed something. They needed life. And he brought it back. He brought it back to life. It's sad to see him go. It was always a 2-year deal from the get-go. We've talked about that forever, that he was never going to be here more than 2 seasons, even though he had a 3rd year available. He's going to use it, obviously. But, I mean, now it's a Jackson Arnold era, right? Like, what a cool Alamo Bowl. It went from everybody kind of upset that they didn't make a New Year's Six Bowl, and everybody still is, Parker. But now they're talking, there's something to the Alamo Bowl. There's some zest, there's some life to it, because you get to see the future. And that's just going to be fun as it is. I think it's going to be a blast. Get to see Jackson Arnold play a complete ball game. What's your expectations going into that?
My expectation is, especially in light of what we saw down the stretch in Provo when Arnold got to play in the 3rd and 4th quarter of that football game, I think we're going to see Oklahoma be aggressive downfield, especially with Seth Luttrell calling the plays, because obviously it was kind of controversial when Luttrell was let go at North Texas at the end of the 2022 season. A lot of people felt like he didn't deserve to lose his job. I'm sure he felt like he didn't deserve to lose his job. And so that guy, no doubt, is going to be coaching with a little extra fire under his belly moving forward. And he gets his first real shot at that after serving in an off-field role all season. He gets his first real shot at that in the bowl game. He's going to have a quarterback at his disposal in Jackson Arnold that, is he as polished as Dylan Gabriel at this point in his career? No. Certainly not. But one thing he does have is a ton of arm talent and a ton of arm strength. And we saw the Sooners take a few shots downfield against BYU. Didn't really hit on one, at least while Arnold was in the game. But Jeff Lebby, while he was still calling the shots for the OU offense, showed a willingness in that football game to let Arnold push the ball downfield.
Yeah.
And I figure Luttrell will do the same thing in the bowl game. Now it comes down to, you're going to be playing in the dome, so you won't have wind affecting your throws like you did up in the mountains in Provo. That probably makes it a little bit easier on Arnold to place some of those deep throws where he wants them. But I think the Sooners come out guns blazing in this football game. And with the lack of depth that you're going to have at running back, yes, you still have your primary guy in Sawchuk, but I think there's going to be more of an emphasis earlier on establishing dominance through the air as opposed to on the ground. Because you also don't know what your offensive line is going to look like, right?
Right.
You don't. You may have opt-outs. And so what you do know is you're going to have Jackson Arnold at the controls. You're going to have a full stable of receivers, one that is rife with playmakers at all 3 levels. You can make stuff happen through the air. And generally, I don't want to paint with too broad a brush. Pac-12 defenses tend to be susceptible to the passing game. And Arizona's been a pretty solid team. They've won 6 straight games coming into this game. But I think there will be vulnerabilities that Oklahoma and Arnold can exploit through the aerial attack.
Yeah, I think Arnold in particular, I think his arm, you're not going to have, as fans have talked about quite a bit, is they're not going to be underthrown. They're going to be overthrown. Well, my thing about that is, okay, if it's underthrown, though, at least the player has a chance to go get it. If it's overthrown, there's 0 shot that it can be a catchable ball. Now, it could also be intercepted. But overthrows can be intercepted too if there's a defender back there and you overthrow it. So there's always a catch-22 to every throw and everything that you do. But I think the one position that is probably smiling year to year is a tight end's position. Because from what I hear from multiple people inside the program is that Jackson likes to throw over the middle, and he will hit the tight end if it's open. He used the tight end a ton when he was at Denton Guyer. As a matter of fact, their tight end went and played Division I football because of it. Good player. He's bigger. He's taller. He's probably 6'2", 6'3", or 6'2.5" probably right now. Jackson's grown. According to his dad, I think he said he's grown like an inch since he's gotten to college. So, I mean, he's getting bigger. He's a bigger guy. He's going to be able to see over the line a lot better. And I think I think the interesting thing is going to be how much do they run him? Because they ran Dillon knowing they had Jackson as a backup, Parker. But Davis Bevel show for the Alamo Bowl, baby. If something happens,
well, I mean, look, end of the day, and I said this, some people didn't like to hear, but I mean, let's call it like it is, right? There is nothing at stake in the Alamo Bowl. You are not playing for anything save for an Alamo Bowl trophy. The difference between 11-2 and 10-3, 11-2 with an Alamo Bowl win or 10-3 with an Alamo Bowl loss, there's virtually no difference there. I mean, obviously, it's nice to go into the offseason with sweet victory on your tongue as opposed to the sour taste of a loss. Outside of that, how we feel about Oklahoma's season isn't going to be drastically affected by the outcome of this game. And also, it's the last football game you're going to play for 9 months. So I don't feel as though the Sooners will have any apprehensions with regard to Jackson Arnold executing the totality of his skill set, both through the air and on the ground. And he's a guy that's willing to take shots. He's a guy that's willing to sacrifice his body. We saw that in the BYU game. Heck, he was initiating contact the majority of the time. Like he's unafraid. And that's a quality, that's a trait you like to see in your quarterback.
No doubt. Ronnie Crimson, thank you guys for all the transfer info on OU Insider. What are your current feelings on OU and Dominic McKinley? Well, that is a topic that we have not even approached yet. I totally forgot it, and we've been pretty on top of that one. We reported yesterday, and then it started to get out a little bit that Todd Bates will be there Friday during the state title game that Dominic McKinley will be playing in, but A&M will be too. And then after A&M's there and Todd Bates is there, he's going to College Station for an official visit. That'll be his second official visit. Oklahoma did the same thing when Riley and BV happened. And I want people to understand this. Like, there were several people that showed up and took official visits to Oklahoma that did not stay committed to OU. So just because Dominic McKinley, granted, it's harder to flip somebody than it is to just outright get them to commit. And Oklahoma is putting in a lot of work. That said, it's going to be a matter of how comfortable is he with Sean Spencer? How comfortable is he with the new staff? Because he's been recruited by Xavier Robinson forever. I'm sure Sean Spencer recruited him at Florida. Everybody recruited Dominic McKinley. But at the end of the day, what does mom feel is best for her baby boy? What does he feel is best? What is he most comfortable when it comes to the relationship-wise? NIL is going to be a part of it, whether he's at Oklahoma, whether he's at A&M, whether he's at Texas. That is a guaranteed. Now, obviously, Texas A&M can throw money out there like it's anybody's business. Texas can too. But anybody that sits around and thinks that Oklahoma is not throwing money around, it's just living in a dream world and living in a woe is me, just negative attitude. It's not the case. Oklahoma plays the NIL game almost as good as anybody else in the country. They're a top 10 NIL program. Would you agree with that, Parker?
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you
Top
that.
10? Yeah, they're top 10. I mean, they threw, before Stutsman announced, they threw quite a bit at him. They threw quite a bit at Billy Bowman through the NIL collectives. Obviously, David Stone was one of the most sought after players in the country. And he was, if anybody knows that recruitment, was very NIL driven. Trying to think who else is very NIL that Oklahoma's gotten over the years. Parker, help me here. Peyton Bowen.
Very pertinent example there.
Very, very pertinent example. So Oklahoma plays. They play. They play the game when it's needed to be played. And I think in this case, they'll play ball. BV loves defensive tackles. And I think there's certain positions in college football, Parker, that you throw NIL at a lot. Quarterback, defensive tackle, left, right tackle, and like an elite wide receiver or an elite corner. I think that's it, or an elite edge. I think there's probably 5-6 positions total. They would sit there and say they're NIL driven. And obviously there's tiers to it, right? I think quarterback is way up here. And then you got defensive tackle and left tackle and right tackle right here, depending on if you have a left or right-handed quarterback. So right tackle if you're the left-handed quarterback, left tackle, right-handed quarterback. Just to explain that to people. And then it starts dropping way down for the other stuff. But Oklahoma's going to play ball when it comes to defensive tackles all day, every day. You win national titles with elite defensive tackles and elite edge rushers. What would be awesome is if Oklahoma went after that dude from Florida State, the edge rusher. How many do you have? Like 19 sacks in like 2 seasons or 3 seasons at Florida State? What's his name? Oh my gosh, there's so many names right now.
Jared Verse.
Say what?
Jared Verse?
No, the one that just got in the portal.
Pat Payton.
Pat Payton, yeah. That would be awesome. Have him across from PJ. That would be some pass rushing, homie. That would be some pass rushing.
That'd be a fun deal. I think
we got it. We got a 50 bomb. Let me get back into my handy dandy YouTube, man. Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate you.
Hang on 1 second. Let's get to the 50 bomb in just a second, because we did have a $5 contribution before that from Matt Davidson, who just said JFA may throw more interceptions than DG, but I bet we don't see any receivers 5 yards behind the defense have to slow down to catch an underthrown ball. And yeah, that's probably true. That's an area in which you'll get an upgrade. But Kyle, you said Kyle dropped, or Kyler dropped $50.
Kyler Eckler. He owns a all-encompassing business in Tulsa. I always like to give him the shout out. Go ahead and put it in the chat, and I'll read it for you whenever you put it in there, Kyler, please. I always forget the total name that you call it because it's a long name. It does have Sooner in it, though. Appreciate you, Kyler. He said, you say that's not a problem at Texas A&M, but what do you think about Evan Stewart's sliced breads tweet? Lol. I mean, I can actually confirm that Evan Stewart went into Texas A&M and did not take any NIL except for what he was getting for his social media in year one, because he knew that you wouldn't have a leg to stand on, him and his people. And I've talked to his people and the people that are helping run his recruitment, or ran his recruitment, and helping him whether he's going to get in the portal or not get in the portal. And so at the end of the day, they thought it was best. The same thing that Jackson Arnold did, which is very smart, is to, if you're not, you need to produce and or be the starter before you do it. So they waited till he started producing at Texas A&M and then went and said, okay, you kind of hold the program or the collective to the fire, and then you get your piece of the pie. And that's what he did. Very smart. I think it's a savvy business. He didn't really need it to start because he made so much from his social media. I mean, he was getting paid crap tons of money from TikTok, from what I was understanding. And
he does have a
so,
very popular TikTok.
yes. And so, I mean, he did it. He did it the way NIL was intended, as far as with TikTok, and then he added to it with the loophole, the collectives, after he produced. Very smart way to go. And if he was to get in the portal, I will say this: that dude will be expensive, super expensive. Parker, you and I have talked about the numbers. It's insane. It's insane. And I think Oklahoma would play there. As a matter of fact, I know they would. So there's that. What's somebody else that we got here? Somebody said, "What the F is TikTok?" There you
If
go.
only we had more people like that in society that were just
No
blissfully
doubt.
ignorant of social media.
Yes. Sooner Home Services and Construction is what he does, and he's up there in the Tulsa area. So if you're in the Tulsa area, go out there and he can help you fix whatever you need fixed at your home. He does a lot of repairs, a lot of helping. I think it's fencing, and there's all. Kyler, you'd have to tell him everything that you do. I know there's a broad band of things that you do as far as home remodeling and stuff like that, out exterior, interior, all that. What I read something just a second ago that caught my eye. Trace Ford. Somebody asked if Trace Ford. They said, I thought Trace Ford had another year of eligibility.
He does. He does.
And I think they were saying that because I was saying opposite of PJ. I was saying opposite of PJ because PJ has a freakish first step, and so does Peyton. So that's why I made that analogy. Nothing against Trace is getting his first step back. He's now a year plus past his ACL surgery, stayed healthy. Next year, he's going to be a whole step too faster, which is really good going into the SEC. He needs a big body on top of it. So really good deal for him. All right. What else can we talk about here?
I mean, Eddie Pierre-Louis commits in 9 days.
There's
that.
Yeah.
And we'll have another live between now and then, but I mean, shoot, that could be the icing on the cake for Oklahoma in the 2024 cycle, is the 4-star offensive lineman out of Tampa, Florida, the number 28 overall player in the nation per our rankings council at Rivals. And what a bizarre recruitment that has been, Brandon. But things seem to be swinging back in favor of the Sooners. Now, I am told UCF is going in home with him on Friday. That would be the 8th, 1 week before his commitment. So who knows? Maybe Gus Malzahn and company have one last run in them. But OU seems to have the juice as of late.
Yeah, they do. That thing has been weird. It's been one of the weirdest recruitment between him and Grant Bricks. It's been like pulling, and I'm losing hair, so and I readily admit it. It's like pulling hair out, and I don't like doing that because I'll go completely bald eventually if I do that. And it's been crazy, man. Like, it's Oregon. No, it's Oklahoma. No, it's back to UCF. No, it's Oklahoma. No, it's Oregon. No, it's UCF. No,
and watch John Ruiz will drop a bag at the 11th
yeah,
hour.
it's back to because he grew up a diehard Miami fan.
Gosh.
Diehard Miami fan. I mean, wouldn't that be just something? But is Johnny Ruiz still dropping bunches of bags after all he's gone through?
They got Justin Scott last week.
They just flipped Justin Scott
with a giant stack of cash in the edit, mind you.
Fair. I do have to ask, is that if the D-line coach for Ohio State for years.
Larry Johnson.
If Larry Johnson was 5-6 years younger, would that happen?
Yeah, probably so.
You think
I think
so?
that flip was more about what
Money.
Miami brought to the table, figuratively and literally.
Literally to the table. Not figuratively, literally. What they brought. There is no under the table stuff anymore. It's just straight. We have this briefcase for you. Are you interested? Yes. Sign here.
Yep.
And there it is. Yeah, it's out in the open now. I think so much so that the OSSAA is doing a one-time transfer. Like that to me is something I never thought I would see, but I obviously talked to the executive director of the OSSAA after the Carl Albert game, and he flat told me on Saturday that yes, this is how it's going to go. And it's more because there's a bill that's in the state legislature for Oklahoma, and the bill is to have it's free fall, open transfers all you want. You have to be in the district, all that crap. It's just it's Florida, Parker. You know how we cover Florida, and you can never know if the kid's at the school or not at the school because between semesters they're always at someplace else. I mean, Brandon Ennis jumped like 4 different schools in like a year. Literally, and then finally settled at St. Francis, not St. Francis, but oh my gosh, Brandon Ennis. He was at
American Heritage
Plantation. So, and I went by there a bunch, obviously because Marvin Jones Jr. and all that. But like he Florida, it's wild, man. I know several players that go to like 5 different high schools before they graduate. It is chaos there. And so they were trying to stop that. Better of the two evils. You allow one-time transfer in your 4 years, and or you have unlimited transfers. The lesser of the two evils was the one-time transfer. So the OSSA had to combat it. Lawsuits and everything were going to come after them if they did. So it was a wise move. And so you're going to see some crazy stuff. You'll see some out-of-state kids start popping into, because the NIL, like the one-time transfer app, it makes things very, very different for the state of Oklahoma. So the state of Oklahoma is going to start seeing a lot more talent, not only move within the ranks of it, but move into the ranks of OK Preps because of that. And the allowing and the limited amount of, you don't have to have proof that you're living in the district, all that makes it very easy to be done now. Very easy to be done, which could help Oklahoma in the long run, Parker, in recruiting. It very well could. Very well could.
It could. It's just, gosh, college football as a whole and everything that feeds into it, recruiting, et cetera, it's just so different than it was 5 years ago, isn't it? It's a whole new world.
2 years ago. Like, it's just, I mean, I think 2022 was the first real NIL like class, right? Like, it was the first class where like it was out there. The transfers were getting money. The collectives were hot and heavy at that point. That's when it changed. I think 2019 is when it opened, right? But it took like 2 or 3 years for it to like people to figure out how to use it.
Yeah, it was 2018 was the first year of the portal.
Yeah, and it took
because Joe Burrow was one of the first guys that, well, no, he was a grad transfer, so he didn't need the portal, but it was right about that time where it really kind of swung into full effect.
Mm-hmm.
And it was post-COVID where it really started popping.
Yeah, it was 22. It was crazy. There's a bunch of people, I guess, asking about Devon Mitchell. What about him?
What about Devon Mitchell? The OU staff went out to see him earlier this week.
Yep.
He's
solidly
committed.
Yep.
He ain't going anywhere, and he'll be on campus in January. He's an early enrollee. He'll be getting reps throughout the spring, and very much under the expectation that he is at least going to contend for the starting job as a true freshman. Does he win the starting job? Way too early to tell. We don't even know what that room's going to look like. But Devon Mitchell is a guy who's more than talented enough to make the push for that role.
Oh, they're mad about his ranking. I can't say I
Oh,
disagree.
the
Yeah, no, we
ranking.
agree. I don't know. Don't like stop worrying about that stuff, folks. Seriously. Like the
You know
guy's
when
gonna
it
come
stops
in.
mattering? Next month.
Yeah, like the guy's gonna
Next
come
month
in
is
and
when
be
it no
elite.
longer matters.
He's still a 4-star. He's still a 150 kid. He's a top 75 kid in the country. Totally. We completely disagree with that ranking, and we'll say it. Like, I don't give a crap. It's our network, and we'll say it. Like, we disagree with it. There's a lot of things we disagree with, but at the end of the day, that ranking means jack crap because that kid's going to come in and prove that he is the best tight end. And a lot of it, I think, has to do with he reclassified so they don't want to hurt the feelings of certain tight ends in his class. And how could you rank somebody that just popped into our class and now he's outranking us? We've been here the whole time, and this guy reclassifies and he jumps ahead of us. He was here and here. Like, nobody wants to hurt anybody's feelings these days. And I think it's BS. Don't get me on that tangent because I'm one of those. I'll say what I say and tell you what's on my mind. Parker can vouch for that. Like, I'll flat out tell you if I'm pissed off at you or whatever, or if I think you're a dick. I mean, I'll tell you. So, among other things. So, I play nice on here, though. I play nice on here. But yeah, don't worry about that stuff for real. I know it's frustrating. I get it. It's frustrating. He deserves his ranking, but I don't think he really cares. At least I haven't seen. Did he tweet about it? I didn't see him tweet about it.
No, he didn't tweet about it. He does not care.
He doesn't care. The dude is a superstar. OU knows he's a superstar. They've been out there to see him already. They're going to be back out there next week. So don't worry about it. Locked in, ready to roll. You're going to have arguably the number one tight end in the country coming in the 2024 class. So if you're not on OU Insider, they'll go because I'm about to drop another note on an offensive lineman that will be visiting next week to Oklahoma. So there's that in the portal. Oklahoma is hot and heavy. They're going after some things, and I've got a few phone calls I've got to make after this, and I will have some updates for you guys as I kind of sift through some of the stuff I'm told, what can be said, what can't be said, and I'll keep you guys informed as best as we can, and Parker will as well. A lot of notes coming for you guys, transfer portal, team stuff coming up, all that coming up for you guys on OU Insider. So right now, you can go there. I'll tell you guys right now, I will open up a promo for you guys this week. OU Insider 30. Just go type that in and you'll get 30 days free. Go type that in. OU Insider 30. If you sign up right now, OU Insider 30, you can get 30 days free of OU Insider. Hope to see you guys. That'll end here in a few days, but go use it before it runs out. The promo runs out. OU Insider 30. Sign up right now and give us a try. See what you like. I think you're going to really like the content we bring every single day. Subscribe to this channel as well. We're almost to 14,000 subs. So close to 14,000 in 18 months. It's amazing. We can't thank you guys enough for being on there and being with us each and every week as we put out content. You guys gobble it up, you watch it, and we're going to keep putting out more because if you guys watch, we're going to keep doing. So that's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor YouTube Live. From a man, Parker Thune, for Spencer Forsythe on the board, my name is Brandon Drum. You guys have a blessed day.